Item 9C, first, I'm going to be reading you a corrected version of this item. Late this afternoon, it was realized that the construction contingency amount was incorrect. In the staff report, it was $36,155. That corrected amount is $24,103. So now I will read.
I guess it's better if it goes down, right?
Well, it's just allocated to.
Yeah, I know. Jimmy, please.
9C is adopt resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a construction contract with United Stormwater, Inc. for the trash capture device installation project in the amount of $206,800, approving a construction contingency of $24,103, and approving a total construction budget in the amount of $242,955.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council. The item in front of you tonight is regards to the mandate imposed by the California State Water Resources Control Board to local agencies to reduce trash load and debris from the storm drains into the San Francisco Bay. Although the city has increased efforts to clean the drain inlets and swept streets before and after storm events, the efforts are no longer enough to meet the state's new mandate. So back in March last year, staff brought an item for council approval in agreement with Schaff and Wheeler to conduct a trash capture feasibility study. The study was recommended to be completed by staff, as it will provide the city guidance in determining the appropriate trash capture device and location to be installed based on the hydraulics of the existing storm drainage system. The feasibility study has been completed, and it evaluated and recommended installation of drain inlet trash capture units and large trash capture units, or a combination of both, at specific locations to meet the state trash reduction goal requirements. So as required under the municipal regional permit, agencies are mandated by the state to achieve a trash reduction goal of 70% by July 1st, 2017, and 80% by July 2019, and 100% by July 2022. The city met the July 2017 70% requirement with a 71% measurement. However, the city may not meet the same 70% again for the 2018 if the Water Board changes the assessment criteria. So one of the assessment criteria that may be changed is the credit for trash pickups, which agencies are currently getting a 10% credit. There are ongoing discussions by the Water Board to have this criteria removed, but it has yet to be finalized. So the study determined that the installation of 71 devices is equivalent to achieve the 10% credit. And for the 80% reduction requirement, the study identified installing about 117 drain inlet locations, and primarily in the east of El Camino area. So therefore, installing a total of 188 devices will ensure the city meets both the 70 and 80% reduction targets. The trash capture device, what it does is filter stormwater by trapping particles, by retaining by a 5mm mesh screen. And the device catch and hold solids, including small trash, sediments, and cigarette butts, and still allows stormwater to continue flowing into the bay. And these devices, whether it's installed in each individual drain inlet or large units installed in the San Bruno Channel, requires a substantial financial commitment and maintenance. For maintenance, cleaning each drain inlet is anticipated to take about 15 to 30 minutes with a 2 to 3 man crew depending on the location. So with the additional 188 trash capture devices, staff is anticipating a need for a couple of additional staff in the street and storm division in order to effectively perform the maintenance. So in order to obtain the vendor for the project, staff reached out to 3 different vendors to obtain a cost proposals. The cost for each trash capture device from United Stormwater, including material and costs, is about $1,100, whereas the 2 other vendors were at about $1,300 and $1,600. Based on the cost proposal, staff is recommending United Stormwater as the sole source vendor for the project, since the firm cost is the least expensive, and the city also has some of their devices installed in our catch basins. And the California Public Contract Code, Section 3400C2, permits general law cities to suspend competitive bid and to make sole source purchase of products or equipment in order to match other products in use on particular public improvements, either completed or in the course of completion, or to obtain a necessary item that is only available from one source. So this, Stormwater, the United Stormwater is a qualified vendor and has been in business since 1970. And the firm has installed these type of devices for other agencies such as Daly City and cities of South San Francisco. So the scope of work for this project includes inspection and measurement at each catch basin, removal of trash and debris from within the catch basins, and then doing a customized on-site fabrication of these trash capture units. So as previously mentioned, the 188 units is to ensure that the city meets both the 70 and 80% reduction targets. To achieve the 100% trash reduction by 2022, staff is analyzing other alternatives, including installing a large trash capture device at location where storm pipe exits the city, via the San Bruno channel, or installing these smaller trash capture units at each drain inlets. So each option has maintenance and permitting and cost advantages and disadvantages, and staff will return to the City Council at a later date to present alternatives and recommendations on how to proceed with the 100% requirement. As for the project schedule, staff estimates it will take about maybe 3 to 4 months to complete this work. And fiscal impact, the fiscal year 2017-18 stormwater capital budget includes an allocation of $400,000 to complete the design and installation of these devices, which has a carryover balance of about $336,000. And this budget was previously used for the feasibility study. And the construction contract with United Stormwater is about $206,800. So the total budget for the project of $242,955 includes the 20% contingency and the 10% for staff management and inspection. So the carryover balance is adequate and no additional appropriation is being requested at this time. This concludes my presentation. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Questions from council? Staff?
A couple questions. There are already similar equipment installed throughout the city, and what are the challenges? I mean, nothing's perfect, right? So what are the challenges that you've had with the device that's been installed, and what kind of additional maintenance is this going to require?
I wish I could answer that, and I can definitely get back to you on that. And after talking to the street and storm division manager, but what I've heard from that, it does take about 15 to 30 minutes for the two-man crew to go out there and then remove all the debris that's inside these devices.
So with that, have we thought about some sort of an adopt a storm drain program? And I see that in other cities. I don't know if we've talked about it before, if there's something that's been already started.
So the answer is yes. Those programs can be very helpful on a volunteer basis. I think that, and we can certainly do a little bit more research. We have talked about advertising the opportunity, maybe providing some basic equipment, giving people naming rights, that kind of thing, to make it a little bit more fun. I would caution, however, that as a voluntary program, it may not be possible for the city to rely on the program to reliably offset the staff time that would be necessary to make sure that we can meet the stormwater permit requirements. In other words, if the volunteers didn't, for whatever reason, adequately maintain the drain, we would still be required to check, and we would still be required to produce some cleaning effort if the program was not adequately robust enough to make sure that we could meet our permitting requirement. So it doesn't absolve us of the responsibility to meet the requirements.
I had another question too, and that was, is there a different product that you would suggest for brand new development? For example, in the Skyline development, is there, when you're brand new developing, is there something that's better and easier and less maintenance, or something that can capture a lot of that material from, you see from bottles to debris that goes down into the drain that can be caught for over a period of time with the less maintenance? And is that something that staff has looked into? And if not, you don't need to answer that. It's something that's going forward. Because we're limited in terms of what we can do today based on already developed areas. So that was just a comment. Thank you.
Any feedback on that, or no?
Yeah, in
Okay,
regards to the consultant that did the feasibility study looked at the the drain inlet type of the unit as well as the larger unit, and there's challenges and there's advantages and disadvantages of both, because the smaller units, you have to put multiples of those throughout the entire city, and it requires more maintenance for these individual drain inlets. But for larger units, you'll have one location where you'll be able to access and remove all of the debris. And the city is actually interested in installing a larger unit at the San Bruno channel, but there's permitting issues that were considered that are challenge. There are some challenges because of the Fish and Wildlife and Fish and Game permitting, or maybe even BCDC. There's all these different permitting agencies that needs to be involved in order to install the device in the San Bruno channel.
Right. And I would assume that there's some sort of plan, because in certain areas where, especially in the lower parts of San Bruno, you would hate to see these capture devices now clog the sewer system, and now we're in a rainstorm. Like, for example, the areas where the eucalyptus trees are, there's a lot of debris that comes down, and now, before you know it, your storm drains are clogged, and now we're having flooding. So, there's that needs to be taken into consideration, too. Thanks.
Marty?
Vice Mayor Davis said exactly what I'm concerned about. We're looking at 15 to 30 minutes for 188 locations, like 94 hours per event. There's no way two guys can go out and clean all these. You would need like everybody in Public Works to go out there before the storm to clean them all off. It's a reality, but it's an expensive cost, and it's just another one of those things that the city is going to have to face. This is something placed on us by the water board, that we have to do this. People aren't taking care of their trash and debris and their cigarette butts, and they're throwing it in the street. We need to help promote cleanliness in San Bruno, and people just fail to do the right thing. So I see that we need to do it. I feel that based on what you're telling me so far, we're not going to be able to clean those drain inlets out in time during a storm event, and it will flood, especially on the lower part of our town. So I think we really have to think about if this is really going to work, because the numbers for me aren't adding up. That we're going to be able to dispatch crews in between storms to go over there and make sure that it's not just the cigarette butts and trash, but these are leaves. Leaves aren't going to be able to get through here, right?
It's a 5 mm mesh.
Right.
So,
I mean, it's going to block everything, and we're going to get one after the other, and it's going to flood all the way down to 7th Avenue, and then what? So I realize we have to do this. I would like staff to really take another look at it, the implementation of the labor involved, and how the quickness in responding to these heavy rain events, and how we're going to do that. I'm adverse to bringing more people on board, because our pension costs, our labor costs, we have a lot of financial stress already, and this is adding some more, and it's from the state. So those are my comments.
Laura?
Just another comment on your concern, too. If I actually did some research over the weekend, but if they're designed so that the mesh will collect all the weeds and leaves and garbage, but there's an opening at the very top, so and it's going to get clogged. I mean, there's going to be times when you're going to see eucalyptus leaves or whatever, but during those heavy rainstorms, there is an opening to get that through. And in some cases, it might even help a situation, because right now you have nothing, and there is no opening at all, and it just floods and no water gets down at all. Where this actually may help in a storm, because it's going to collect all that stuff in the lower part, and then enough water will be able to get through. So I'd be curious if, I'm sure this company who's out there, been doing this for a number of years, has research on that particular issue. But I think in some areas it might help.
Any other questions, council? comments? Irene?
No, I just want to thank Jimmy for all the work and your staff. I know this isn't easy, and I know there's going to be more and more stringent requirements as we go. So I know I'm having the beautification task force members consider being the front runners of the Adopt a Storm Drain program. So we'll get back to you as soon as we hash that part out. With that, I'd like to introduce the resolution.
Councilmember O'Connell,
Aye.
Councilmember Medina,
Aye.
Councilmember Salazar,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Davis,
Aye.
Mayor Medina.
Aye.